Combine young college and high school students, alcohol, and a pristine location, and you have the perfect recipe for some of the most shocking stories about spring break. Spider House. During spring break in 1999, Andrew W.K. rented a house in Acapulco with his friend Cece, and realized quickly that the house was infested with very large spiders. The pair even heard the spiders scurrying around at night and falling from the ceiling with a thud. The guys had a goal of filling the house with the bikini-clad hotties and were finally successful one night. However, one of the girls went to the bathroom and a spider bit her right where it counts. Needless to say, the rest of the girls freaked out and vacated the house, and the guys paid for a hotel. Deadly bus ride. Amanda Eskridge's spring break came to a tragic end on March 16, 2004, after she was hit by a Cancun city bus while she was walking the dark streets. The crazy thing was that the bus driver didn't even stop until passengers protested his actions. Amanda's purse was missing for 4 days after her death, and someone stole her money and ID right off of her body. The most messed up part about the incident was that Amanda's parents had to bribe Mexican authorities with $4,000 to get their daughter's body for burial. Spring break with mom? The last person that Beth Brennan wanted to spend spring break with was her mother and underage younger sister. However, Beth's mom proved to be a crazy party animal who managed to sneak her underage daughter into bars along with alcoholic drinks. But Beth and her family eventually pushed it too far, and the hotel security threatened to kick the party animals out and call the cops. So who was the adult there? Wet T-shirt winner. A college student by the name of Carrie entered into her first wet t-shirt contest during her spring break and won. However, she only won because she took off all of her clothes in front of the crowd, and then ended up losing her clothes. Carrie then took a cab back to her condo where she passed out on the first floor, all while doing it in her birthday suit. Texas joint. Poor Graham gave in to peer pressure by his friends one year for spring break when they decided they wanted to try to sneak joints across the Texas state border. However, any kind of drugs can be tracked down by the cops, and the group of students were arrested and had to spend a night in prison with orange jumpsuits and all. Luckily, Graham didn't get the incident added to his record, but he found some better friends afterwards. Hot tub grandparents. A University of Michigan college student known by the name of Matthew spent his spring break at his grandparents' ranch house in Arizona one year. Since his grandparents typically went to bed early, Matthew hung out with his friend Jason during the day and then relaxed in the house hot tub at night. Well, one night Matthew and Jason were greeted by his grandparents in the hot tub, and they were naked. How did I get here? While Blaine was spending his spring break in Hawaii, he decided to take out his friend for their 21st birthday. Blaine had 3 drinks, and his memory went blank after that. He lived his own version of the hangover when he woke up the next morning on the rooftop of a 6-story building that was about a mile or 2 away from the bar he was originally at. He was also missing a shoe and covered in bush needles. Bacteria breeding grounds. Hugo definitely brought an extra souvenir home from his spring break in Acapulco one year. His beachfront hotel had 2 hot tubs, which he used regularly every night in the party scene. After spring break was over, about 3 weeks later, Hugo found out that he had contracted a serious infection that came from the hot tubs back in Acapulco. Casual cousins. A young college student, only known as Trevor, had a pretty interesting night while on spring break in Cancun. He had gotten pretty drunk one night and started hooking up with a girl who he had thought was a random stranger at the hotel pool. They thought they were in a private area until they finished and people started cheering around them. But that's not the worst part. Sometime later, the random couple realized that they were actually distant cousins. So what's your crazy spring break story? Let us know about it in the comments. And while you're here, here's a couple other videos we think you might enjoy. And don't forget to click like and subscribe. Thanks!